Hello YouTube, I'm Faninder. In the last tutorial, I have said about instance methods. In this tutorial, I will be saying about static methods. So, I will explain what static methods are, but first, let me write a program so that you can understand in much detail. So, if you have a class which makes a connection to the database. For suppose if I have a class which makes a connection to the database, let the name of the class be class connect, and in this class I have methods which will connect to the database. Public here means universal access. You can access this method with respect to an object from any other class. Public void, we already know what void means, and the name of the method is connect database. Connect database, B capital in here. Connect database is a method, and in this method I will just print something on the screen. System.out.println. Sorry. Connected to database. Connected to database is what I will print. Now I will write another class named client, which will use method present in this class to make connection to the database. And in we have to write main method public static void main of string so we know that we can only access this method with respect to an object, so I will be creating an object connect. I will name the object as c1 equals new connect connect. So I have created an object and I will call this connect database method to make the connection to the database. Copy, and then with respect to object c1 dot control V. So when we run this program, it will just connect to the database. So let me save this file. I will save it as client client dot java. So we are saving it with respect to the name of the client, which has the main method. You will know why we are doing that in a few minutes. So let us run this program. Java C client CLI, name of the file dot Java. So we have successfully compiled the program and I will run it. Java, name of the client, name of the dot class file, Java client, fully connected to the database, right? So we know that when we create an object, each object has its own copy of data members and methods. So if any other object want to connect to the database, we need to create the object and call the connect database each and every time to make the connection for the object like this. So I want to connect object C2 to the database. I'll just copy and paste it and just rename the object C2. So similarly, I would create another object and connect it to the database. Similarly, n number of objects. So I've created and I've saved it, and now I will compile the file and then run it. So I've created 3 objects and I've made it to connect 3 times. So from one machine, if multiple objects want to connect to the database, it has to call the connect function multiple times. So this leads to ambiguity and data insecurity. I will show you diagrammatically how this looks. Let me open my paint. I will pause this for a few seconds. So when we are connecting to the client with respect to every object, the connection will be something like this. Many to one to many. That means it's just connecting many objects from one machine to the database. This leads to data insecurity and ambiguity. In real world application developments, this type of programming is not recommended. It is recommended to connect only once and supply it to all the objects of the class. So, how are we going to do it? For this purpose, we have a special feature in Java called static methods. Like static data members, static methods are also created irrespective of objects. That is, when a class definition loads into the main memory space for the static methods are created irrespective of instance methods. So we don't need an object to access the static method. We can directly access the static methods with respect to the class name. So what is the syntax for the static methods? we have the syntax as something like access specifier, which is public or private or default. Access specifier space the keyword static. This says to the compiler that this is a special method, so which can be only be accessed with respect to the class name. Static. Then the return type, name of method, and parameters if any. This is a syntax for defining a static method. So in here I like to make this method a static since we want the class to connect to the database and make it available for every object. So I will just replace this method as something like static. So now this method is static and this can only be accessed with respect to the class connect. So I will just eliminate all this thing and call that method with respect to class. Connect dot name of the method. Since we have defined the method as a static and called with respect to the class, this connection will be made available to every object that we create with respect to the connect class. So I will just save this method. I will just save the file and will compile it and then run the file. So connected to database. So no, we haven't used any objects in here to make the connection, but we have used the class to make the connection. So here the connection is established and this class will give the connection to all the objects that we create in here with respect to the class. So what I want to say is static methods are always meant for performing common operation. Connecting to database is common for every object. Means every object has to make connection to access the features of the database. So instead of connecting it to many times like this, we can just connect it. We have to connect it just one time. So now look at our main method. It is also a static method. Now you know how main method is called and executed by JVM. When we run, when we execute the class file by typing Java space the name of the class, the class loader subsystem loads the dot class file from the secondary memory to the main memory. Then the JVM calls the main method. Then the JVM calls the main method by placing the class name here, class name dot main method. So you know why Java recommends to save the file with the name of the class in which main method is defined. So I hope that you understood on static methods. In my next tutorial, I will talk more about static method and give example about system.out.println method, how this method is going to work. So if you have any doubts about static method, please leave comment. Thanks for watching.